Hey, have you heard that drinking red wine is good for you? Yeah, it's not.
Welcome to Plain English, the podcast that goes at the right speed for English language learners. Listen now and read the transcript online at plainenglish.com. Now, here's Jeff, your host for today's episode.
Sorry to burst your bubble, but if you've been having a glass of wine or a shot of tequila on the assumption that one drink a day is actually good for you, a new study disproves that myth. We are stuck with the reality that any amount of alcohol is just not good for us. What a way to celebrate the Labor Day weekend in the United States, right? This is episode number 82 of Plain English, and today is Monday, September 3rd, 2018. Labor Day, the traditional end of the summer in the United States, is today. I'm Jeff, and the producer of the show is JR. As you know, Plain English is a podcast for people who are learning English. The audio goes nice and slow so you can understand every word. And if you'd like to follow along and read a transcript of the program, you can find a transcript at plainenglish.com/82. plainenglish.com/82. JR and I love listening to all of you, hearing from listeners. So don't be shy about sending us a note. Our email addresses are jr@plainenglish.com, and I'm Jeff, Jeff, at plainenglish.com. Do you remember hearing that there are health benefits to having one alcoholic drink per day? Maybe you've heard that red wine is good for you. I've heard that for a long time. Scientists have long said that having some red wine helps prevent heart disease and has a range of other benefits. I have never put too much stock in those studies, and I hope you haven't either. That's because a new paper in the medical journal, the Lancet, says that there are actually no net health benefits to drinking alcohol. They do acknowledge that previous studies say one drink per day can actually reduce your risk of heart disease, but whatever benefit might exist on that front is offset by higher risks of acquiring other diseases like cancer, diabetes, or tuberculosis. Yikes. The risks to your health of drinking are relatively minor for light drinkers, but increase rapidly as people have more than one drink per day. The authors find that having just one drink per day makes a person 0.5% more likely to get cancer, diabetes, or tuberculosis. 0.5%. That doesn't sound too bad, but if you have an average of 2 drinks a day, your risk goes up by 7%. And if you're a heavy drinker and have 5 drinks a day, then your risk of getting cancer or another illness goes up by 37%. And that is all, not to mention the other bad things that can result from drinking, such as traffic accidents. Alcohol remains a leading cause of death. It is involved in 12% of male deaths and 4% of female deaths, at least in 2016. It is the leading cause of death and disability for people between 18 and 49 years old. The research paper looked at data from 195 countries and covered a long period of time, 1990 to 2016. The study's author says, quote, "The myth that 1 or 2 drinks a day are good for you is just that, a myth." So that raises a question in my mind. How much are people actually drinking? The UK government says people should not consume more than 2 drinks per day or 14 per week. But in Britain, both men and women have an average of 3 drinks per day. The study also showed the countries where drinking is most prevalent. Among men, they are Romania, where men have an average of 8 drinks. Yikes, 8 drinks a day. Followed by Portugal, Luxembourg, Lithuania, and Ukraine, with about 7. All in Europe, by the way. When I saw this, I was really surprised. In Britain, they have a relatively mild 3 servings of alcohol a day. Now, I like beer and wine, but I definitely don't have an average of 3 drinks a day. There are certainly days where I have 3 drinks, but in the course of a week, I probably average 1 a day or less. In fact, I just spent a whole week at a hotel for work, and I had to eat all my meals at the hotel restaurant, sometimes with clients, and I found myself having 1 or 2 drinks with dinner for most of the week. And by the end of the week, I was ready for a break. I made a huge pot of iced tea as soon as I got home. I guess I'm one of those people bringing the average down, right? Another important question when a study like this comes out is, what exactly am I supposed to do with this new information? The study's authors are saying that no amount of alcohol is good for your health. That having 1 drink a day increases your risk slightly of getting cancer. But I don't think we need to take from this that we can't have any alcohol. I think it does clarify that if you think you're helping your health by having red wine, you're probably just kidding yourself. And if you're having 5 drinks a day, well, now you know your risk of getting cancer or another disease from your alcohol consumption is significantly higher than if you were having just 1 a day. In other words, where I think this leaves us is more or less where we were to begin with, knowing that moderate drinking isn't good for your health, but probably isn't too bad either. But your risk goes up the more you drink. Then again, we probably all knew that to begin with, right? I want to welcome the newest listener to Plain English. He is Akil from Iraq. You know, most of the people who listen are here to learn English, but as you've heard in the past, we have a few English teachers listening too, and Akil is an English teacher in the city of Basra, Iraq. Listen to this. Akil is in charge of a classroom of 50 students at a government school. 50 students in his classroom, ages 13 to 17. Akil's Twitter bio says he's an English teacher and he loves his job. Wow, Akil, you are my hero for commanding a classroom of 50 teenagers and teaching them English. Thanks for checking us out, and I hope you can introduce the program to some of your students. I also want to say hi to Luis from Guatemala, who joined us for the World Cup episodes and has been with us ever since, and Ana from Sao Paulo, Brazil, who is getting ready to give a presentation in English in September and is using plain English to practice. We know you'll do great, Ana, and thanks to Luis, Ana, and Akil for being new listeners to Plain English. The phrase I chose today is to put stock in something, or you can also say put faith in something. They mean the same thing. They mean to pay attention to something, to rely on it, to believe it, or to use it in your decision-making. You remember all those news stories over the years saying red wine is actually healthy? I hope you didn't put too much stock in those stories. I hope you didn't put much faith in those stories, because they may have been technically true, but they didn't take into account the potential negative effects of drinking, which could outweigh whatever health benefits might actually be there. I can confidently say that I have never taken a sip of beer or wine and thought that I was doing anything positive for my health. I have never put much stock in those stories. I have never believed in them or relied on them. Do you know your zodiac sign? I was born in July, so I'm a Cancer. JR is a Taurus. I don't know anything about what that means for our personalities, but sometimes you'll run into people who say that, oh, Cancers can never get along with a Taurus, or Sagittarius is a great mix for a Leo. I'm making this up. Do you put much stock in that? I don't. I never read the horoscopes in the newspaper, and I don't think that the month you were born has anything to do with your personality. I don't put much faith in the zodiac signs or in the horoscopes. And I don't put any faith in someone who can tell the future from the palm of my hand. It's August in 2018, an even year, so that means we have congressional elections in a couple of months in the United States. Brazil will vote for president around the same time. Do you put much stock in politicians' promises on the campaign trail? These days, there's a lot of discontent in the world. A lot of people who are upset with how the elected leaders behave once they get in office. It's probably true that a lot of people don't put much stock in what politicians say when they're campaigning for office. If you don't put much stock in their promises, it means you don't necessarily think they will keep their promises. You don't believe in what they are saying. You don't put much faith or much stock in what they are saying. By the way, back on the alcohol story, and I just thought about this. What about all the calories? That's the primary disadvantage I see to drinking alcohol. And it's not just the calories in the actual drink, but the calories it's going to make me eat in snack food. For some reason, I never see that in the stories about the health risks of drinking. That's all for today. Thanks for listening and for being part of Plain English. I am so grateful for all your notes, for all the new followers we have on Facebook at Plain English Pod, and for the new subscribers we have on the list at plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L. Thanks for being connected. Keep up the good work in your studies. And don't forget to join us again, me and JR, right here on Thursday for episode 83.